Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Cardano. This is going to be a higher time frame video. There will be also a lower time frame video linked above, so check that out if that's more what you're interested in. Okay, so let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so the first thing that I want to start with is that we do not have full history here. We only have history from 2018. This is with the USDT pair on Binance. Now, we do have slightly more data here on Kraken using the USD pair. So we will talk about this in a second. But now what we are looking for here effectively is that whether this is an A, B, C to the upside, in which case we're looking for deeper correction, or this could even be 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, there's a couple of issues within these two different counts, so we're going to go over them. So first, we're going to talk about this possibility that because if we look at Kraken over here, we can see that we have this move up here, then we have a move down, then we have this secondary move to the upside. So this would be the move down that we see here. Now, if this is the case, this could simply just be A, B, and C, and this means that this could actually complete a bigger A wave of this move. Now, if this is the case, what we could then be looking for is actually a B wave to the downside. So I've transposed some of the information off of Kraken. There is a little bit of a discrepancy between these highs and lows, so these areas will obviously be altered slightly, and also as well as that, we don't have all the information here either. So this is just what I'm using as to get a little bit of a guide of where we could see a reaction. Now, if this is the case, what we could actually be looking for is a deeper B wave here, which is looking to actually come down into this zone of this 2298 to this zone of this 0531. So this would require a deeper correction here, and what I'd be looking for here effectively would be the fact that we have something like this as an A, B, and a C looking to push down into this zone here. Now, alternatively, what we could still see here is that we do have the potential to see a drop down directly, but we need to just be aware that there is that potential that we could see a bigger corrective move to the upside. Now, what we'd be looking for here is effectively having this C wave after completion of this B wave, which could look to push us up towards this 2172 if this is a 1-to-1, and I have some other areas here as well. The 854 would be this 1023, the 0786 would be this 720, and the 0.618 would be here at this $3.03. Now that would actually be a double top, so we need to just be careful of that. If we do see a push down here and then we actually see a move back into this 0.618, we need to be cautious that we could actually get a double top here and then actually look to still fall away. So we need to just always have these things in mind. Now, the other way that we could argue that this is playing out is we'd be looking at this as an impulse and saying that what we have within here is this as a primary 1-2 here, and then we have this as an intermediate 1-2. Now, we could technically argue, because we've come down here pretty much to this 50% level, that we could then have a completed move here. We're going to go over these internals a little bit in a second, but what we'd then be looking for is that potential for a push to the upside. Now, if we have a look at the chart here on log base, what we can see here is this 1618 of this wave 2 based off coming to the 0.618 would be much higher here towards this $430 area, which I'm not sure if that's achievable. However, if we come here onto the linear scale, what we can see is that 1.618, if we base it on the linear scale here, would actually only be here at this $4.85, which is much more achievable. Now, we also do have some other targets here, which would be this 2618 at this 777 and this 3618 up here at this $10.70. Now, this one would be quite an interesting zone to me if we do actually see this develop as an impulse. So we're going to have to just keep an eye on this and see which scale actually starts to fit better. Typically speaking, we do chart on log over a longer period, but there is a little bit of a discrepancy within the fib ratios here. If we are looking at the log one, it is technically possible, but price would then probably not move directly up here. What we'd probably look for is another 1-2 here. Then we'd see something like this 3, 4, and a 5 to get up into these levels. So it would be something that's going to take a lot of time. Remember, we're looking at this on the 2-daily chart, so this is not something that's going to happen overnight. So we need to obviously watch the internals and see which way this actually plays out. Now, if we're looking at this in this manner, what we can do is look at the downside that we have here. Now, within this, I've got a couple of ways I'm looking at this. So potentially we could argue that this move is 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're actually looking at this as a fourth wave. So if we stay below this zone of the 62.65 and within this range of this 33.72, so we've actually come into a zone where this is actually enough to be a fourth wave, so we need to just be cautious that this move could actually start to break down in a bigger way. If this is a fifth wave, what we'd be looking for is this zone of this 2059 to this 1604. Now the thing is, within this count, this, if we have a 5-wave move off this high point, would actually indicate that we are going to see a move back to the upside and then face a rejection afterwards, because 5-wave moves can't happen in isolation. Now, if this is the case, and this is actually a 5-wave move, we'd have to be very cautious in the zone of the 76 cents to this $1.70. Now, if we do see a push up here, this could actually then be A, B, and C, in which case we're looking for that deeper correction. So this is why we are looking out for that potential that even within this impulse, we do still have the potential to have this play out as an A wave. This is a B wave, and still see a C wave to the downside come in towards some of these lower ranges that we have here. And then obviously in the alternate one, we do have the same sort of levels here, so we would need to just be cautious that if this does actually play out, it could take a bit more time here, and we could see this, you know, drag on a little bit. Before we continue any further, I just want to go over something within this chart. Now, if we are back here on the Kraken chart on the weekly, what we can see is that, you know, we do have this potential channel here. Now, we are currently rejecting off this central line that we have here. If we do continue to reject off of this, what we could actually see is price start to fall away to some of these lower levels. Now, one thing I also want to just say here is that if we look at the trend-based time extension here, what we'd be looking for is that if this is a corrective move as ABC, what we could see is we could see price action actually start to drag out here. And this is why I'm looking out for this potential of seeing a bigger A, B, and a C, because this 1-to-1 would actually be much later towards July 2025. 0.618, which would also be an area of interest, would be January 2024. So I would be keeping an eye on these levels. We haven't even, if we're looking at this as an A, looking for a B and a C, obviously we don't have all the data here, so this is slightly skewed, but what I'd be looking for is effectively a bigger move that sort of matches this one here as a B wave to actually play out. So this is why we're looking out for that possibility that we could see something like that. So within this count, invalidation would only come by pushing up past this $1.14, but what we'd really want to see here is if this is looking to complete as a fourth wave, I wouldn't want to see this drag on too much. Now, this is because if we have a look at this wave 2 over here, it would be quite small. So this is fine currently. If we had to see something like this where we drag across to the side like this, it starts to become a bit disproportionate to this wave here, and it would probably mean that there's something else going on. Now, if we are looking at this in a different way, what we could argue here is that we could see this move play out in a WX, Y, X, and a Z. Now, the key thing here is that if we're looking at this in this manner, we could, technically speaking, have completed this Z wave already. Now, if we've completed this Z wave, this would actually indicate that this could be a completed correction here, and we could actually be looking to break to the upside. So we need to be aware that there is that potential. Alternatively, if we do see this come down one more time, I would be keeping an eye on this 1-to-1 of this W wave, which would be here at this 2178. A move to that 2178 in this A, B, and a C pattern would actually tie in with this actually being a bigger corrective move where this is still in the Z wave. So we're going to have to keep an eye on it. If we continue to hold these lows, we can look for the bullish potential here. Now, there is also the potential, if we're looking at this as a WXYXZ, what we could actually see here is a triangle develop in the Y wave. So this is why I'm looking out for this as a potential A, B, and then what I want to see here is how we actually develop. If we get a 3-wave move down here towards this 30 cent 78 to this 30 cent 14, what we could then see is the potential for having a D wave up towards this 399 to this 3947, and then another 3-wave move to the downside for an E. Now, this as a Y wave triangle would actually look to complete the sequence, and what this would mean is that we would see a little bit more sideways action playing out here. Like I said, we'd have to complete this C wave and this D wave for confirmation of this as a triangle, and then we'd be looking for that potential of this E wave, which could look to come down towards this 3783 to this 3352. Now, if this is what we'd be looking for is a break to the upside, we want to see a break above this point here, ideally for more confirmation of this. The other way that we could argue that this is playing out is still as a triangle, but looking at this move slightly different. There is a potential of counting this as a looking for a B wave here and still looking for the C wave. So if we see a pushback down into this channel where we actually see this actually come back and retest this level, what we could see then is this C wave develop to the upside for this B wave. Now what we would want to see here is we cannot cross the origin of this move, which would be this 59.48, and then we would want to see this effectively have another 3-wave move down, 3-wave move up, and another 3-wave move down. So some of these target areas here would be this. If we did actually get a B wave up towards the zone of this 786, which would be here this 4913, what we could then see is the potential that actually we get this C wave down to this 3153, then we get a D wave up to this 4188, and then we see a E wave settle around this 3524. So this would be quite an interesting thing to develop here, because this would be quite tricky, because what this would mean is that price would once again look to just push directly to the upside from this, if this is a Z wave triangle in this case. Now, if we're arguing that potentially into this low point here we have completed, what we need to be aware of is really until we actually break above this higher zone here of this 179.29 to this 08621, we could still face rejection. So even if this is a corrective move that's completed into here, this could just be an A wave, in which case we could see a bigger corrective move to the upside, looking to actually challenge this zone of this 179 to this 8621. And if this is the case, what we'd then actually be looking for is the fact that we'd get this as a bigger A, B, and a C. So this is why we need to just be mindful that with moves to the upside here, we need to see good structure play out. And really, until we actually take this high point again of this $3.11, we need to just be cautious of that possibility of extension here. So if this is looking to actually push up here, what we could argue is a couple of things. We could see this either develop as a corrective structure where this becomes W, X, and Y to the upside, in which case we'd then be looking for that potential to hold support here and then look to push up in a bigger A, B, and a C. If we are actually looking at the potential of this breaking down from this point, what we'd be arguing is within here we have a couple of possibilities, where we are looking for that possibility of a breakdown in a bigger 5-wave move, where we count this as 1, 2, 1, 2, and then we're actually looking for a rejection between this 4033 to this 3824, moving above this 4190, and would invalidate this yellow wave count here. If, however, we do see this play out as a corrective move to the upside and we reject off of here, and then we see a bigger 5-wave move down here towards this zone of this 2929, this would then tie into the idea of this yellow count here. Now, if we did move down to this 29.29, this would also hit this 1.618 of this wave 1 here. So what we could then see is that this actually becomes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We get an additional 4th and a 5th, and this actually looks to push us directly down here towards this 26.84 to this 24.89 area. So this is what we need to be careful of within this as a direct breakdown here. Now, we could also, because of the way the structure is, obviously, if we move back above this high, it invalidates the idea of this 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, the other way we could still potentially look at it is that we could actually have something like this. Because we have two 5-wave moves, we could argue that this is a wave 1 as a diagonal, in which case we could actually see a bigger move to the upside here, looking for rejection between this 43.47 to this 38.80. Now, a common area would potentially look for would be this 618, which would be this 41.47. So this would be quite interesting because we'd actually be retesting some of these highs here, but we are facing rejection off the central channel here. So if we had to see another move up here into this 50%, which would be here at this 3880, we can also see that this is a level here. This could actually then start to fall away from this point if we're looking at this in this way. Now, what we would be looking for here would actually be slightly different, because what we would want to see is we'd want to see this develop as a 3-wave move to the upside here, and then we'd want to see a 3-wave move to the downside. Now, a common target area that we'd be looking here for would actually be this 0.618 here to this 0.65, which would be this 3247 to this 3218. Now, if we have a look at this and I throw a fib onto this, we do have an invalidation for this, and that would actually be by crossing the 1-to-1 of this as a wave 1. So if we had to argue that we moved up towards this line here of this 3880, what we could then be looking for is the potential to drop to the downside from there. Now, invalidation comes by crossing 2931. If we move below that, it becomes more likely we have that other impulse pattern playing out. So the key thing is here is what we'd want want to see is this develop as a made up of 3 wave moves, and we'd want to see this have a wedge shape. So looking for the potential that we have something along these lines as a descending wedge, something like this. Now, obviously, this is not to scale and can be adjusted as it moves around, but what we'd want to see is a descending wedge shape pattern like this. Now, if this is the case, what we would then see is the potential to actually move back up. Now, this could actually indicate that we have a completed move here, but it is not very likely that it would be this short. Now, if we do get a diagonal here, what I would be looking for would actually be this as either a C wave, where this becomes A, B, and C, and then we'd be looking at this as an A wave here, this is a B wave here, and then we're looking to push to the upside. If, however, we get a diagonal here, we also need to be careful that this could be wave 1, and really until we cross this high point again, we could just see a 3-wave move up before actually looking to continue to the downside. So that's what we need to be aware of within this as a possible breakdown from this point. So keep an eye on this. This is going to be important as to deciphering which one of the counts is actually in play here. Now, if we wanted to say that we actually had this as a completion of that Z wave here, what we could also be looking for is a bullish move out of this range. Now, if this is the case, what we'd be looking for is something along these lines where we'd be treating this as a 1-2 here. And then we're looking for a move past the 71.98. Now, if we are looking for this push to the upside here, what we'd then be arguing is that within here, we could be looking at this as a potential another 1-2 here. Now, the problem within this, it's not really a problem, but I don't really like it because we'd be relying on the fact that we have an expanding diagonal here as an additional wave 1. Now, this is technically possible, and as long as we actually hold the low here of this 29.80 level, we do have the potential that this could actually play out. If we start to lose this low though, this would make this count invalidated. Now, if we did lose this low and we see something like this as an ABC and still find support in this channel, it is still possible technically that this could be a 1 and then this could all be a wave 2. Now, if that's the case, what we'd be looking for as a potential support range here would actually be this level here of this 31.52 to this 26.94. So really, until we actually lose 26.94, technically speaking, we could still see this actually play out. We just could have this wave 2 actually move over into this location. So really, until we actually break this low, we do still have this potential. But what we want to see here is actually see price move away. Now, if however we are looking at this in this way and we're looking to actually maintain above this 29.76, what we could then see is that we have actually come down into the support range here, and we're looking for a 5-wave move to the upside. So what we'd want to see is price action starting to set up some 1s and 2s here before looking to progress to the upside here, maybe even forming something like this, looking for a bigger 3rd wave here, where this becomes 1, this becomes 2, we get a bigger 3rd wave past this 65.48 level, and then we'd be looking for that potential of a 4th wave, probably back down to retest the top of this channel towards this 50-cent area, and then looking for this 5th wave to the upside towards this 77.50 to the 69.90. Then once we complete that, what we'd be looking for is effectively we would have then crossed this 1.618. Now, it is possible we can just get a B and a C that actually moves up into this 1.618 in rare circumstances. So we have to wait for that confirmation of that 4th wave again. Now, that 4th wave could not be allowed to cross this wave 1 at this 41.29, and then we'd be looking for this additional 5th wave to the upside. Now, if we do form a bigger 5-wave sequence like this from this bottom point here, this would then tie into the idea that this could all actually be a wave 1, and then we'd be looking for a wave 2 to actually come back and potentially retest some of these levels again. So this is how we would want to see this building up for this bigger 5-wave structure here, is we'd want to see a nice 5-wave move here, and look for a retracement down in 3 waves again, and then looking to progress. Now, it is possible that we could see something like this, where this becomes 1-2, this becomes 1-2, we even see another 1-2 here, and then we see a direct break to the upside where we don't see that bigger 1-2 play out, where we see this simple 5-wave move and then a 3-wave move to the downside. Now, if we do that, what we'd be looking at is maintaining these higher lows and looking to push up and set higher highs as well before looking to actually get that volume come in and the explosion of the 3rd wave. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, and leave us some feedback down below. Also in the description, you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out. It's free to join. Everyone have a great weekend. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.